What's the price of Bitcoin anyway? I haven't looked all day. Okay, it's 67,000, right?
Yes.
It's
Which,
back.
Is great because, like, you know, it just tickled the all-time high, and then when it pulled back, of course people are like, one guy, I don't even know who he is, he's like, see, I told you it was a bubble. And it was like, oh man, I love these people that their dumb comments are time stamped for eternity on the internet. That's what I love.
Oh, well, you know, to be fair, that was kind of a joke because that was Joe Wiesenthal, and he was actually, you know, he used to be at Bloomberg, but before that he was at Business Insider. And when he was at Business Insider, he came onto Keiser report back in like 2011 or 12 when Bitcoin was like a dollar, $10 or something like that. And so he was in our studio in Paris, actually. And, you know, we always call him a fiat bug, or Max does. And he jokingly said, I told you Bitcoin was going to crash. I've been telling you for years now that it's a bubble. He's been saying it since it was $100. So I think he's kind of like teasing himself as well, that he's been wrong for the past $69,000.
Yeah. And also there's a few people that legitimately are, you know, rubbing their hands like, you see, it's a bubble. This guy, Keith Weiner, who's a gold bug.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he, every time it pulls back 2% on its way to infinity, he does a victory lap. Like, see, I told you. And of course, Peter Schiff famously, every time Bitcoin has a 2% pullback, he's does a victory lap. This has been going on since Bitcoin was $10. So yeah, there's Joe is making a parody, but a lot of people genuinely, you know, find you know, these pullbacks. You know, they don't understand the bull market that they are mocking.
Yeah, it's fascinating that I mean, I guess give that guy Joe credit. I didn't know it was a joke, but good for him that he like is making he can admit fault. Like, that's such a sign of somebody. People who could never admit fault, and they probably don't admit fault because they think they're going to look weak, when actually never admitting fault is a sign of weakness. Admitting
that guy,
fault.
Dave Portnoy, you know, over the Barstool Sports, you know, he's been chronicling his failure at Bitcoin. He owned it. He sold it at a loss. He's got a loss. He's one of the few people that's got a loss. And he goes on his YouTube channel and whatever, and he's crying and he's stuffing pizza in his face, crying. But, you know, he mans up. He cowboys up. He cops to the reality of the situation. I agree with you. It's a sign of strength.
It is. To admit fault is a sign of strength. I'm so confident in who I am that I can say I was wrong. Because if when you can't admit fault, you're usually like insecure. Everyone's going to think I'm bad and wrong or something. It's like, just man up.
Well, Dave Portnoy wasn't wrong in terms of, like, he believed Bitcoin and he said Bitcoin was good, but you know, he was just very highly regarded about certain actions that he took. I remember he bought Bitcoin along with his mistake was really he had the
Winklevi?
The Winklevi. The Winklevi twins walk him through buying his first Bitcoin, and he bought like $1 million worth at $10,000. But he also bought a Safe Moon, which was a Ponzi scheme that collapsed, and all the founders were arrested in the past year. And so when he sold everything because he was like, it's all a scam, right? And so he lost his Bitcoin that he had bought at 10,000. Oh. And then he bought some more at like 20, somewhere between 20 and 30,000. But he didn't, you know, to be fair, he must have like Coinbase or something. Coinbase and Binance, you know, if you've ever seen their back end, and I've only seen it because I've helped people exit those sites. They had accounts there and they were stuck in that casino. And you know how you worked in Las Vegas for a long time. You know how casinos are designed to be impossible to leave? Like, it's impossible to find the elevator because they want you on the gambling floor, on the casino floor gambling. Mm-hmm. Well, that's like the casinos, the crypto casinos of Binance and Coinbase. So I think somehow he messed up and thought he was just checking on his Bitcoin, and somehow he ended up selling it at like, when he bought it at 30, I remember he said, and it went down to 20, and he wanted to check and see, and he ended up selling it so it was still on his account though as dollars. And so when Bitcoin went up to like 40 something, he went over there to check it again to see like how much it was up, like what his account looked like, and instead it was still in dollars. And so he was like, what the hell? So he's just making fun of himself. But these are, that's the problem with going into a casino instead of just buying Bitcoin on an exchange like swanbitcoin.com/orange pill, right?
Yes. And they just Bitcoin only, because when you buy through these other exchanges, you might get into this. I saw this article that Binance made a crypto perfume in a baffling attempt to woo women. This could not be worse. Like, I cannot think of a worse perfume than
I can. This candle smells like my vagina by Gwyneth Paltrow. Okay.
Sure.
That by far, that's got to be the worst scented product of the past 100 years. My vagina smells better than Gwyneth Paltrow's. I know that for sure. I mean, sure, her vagina stinks, and it's well documented. Anyway, you do. You can look up Wikipedia under stinky vagina, and there's Gwyneth Paltrow's photo right there with their lab sticking out, all flappy, because it's all flappy labia. She needs a labia correcting surgery. Forget the face, just correct the labia. It's hanging out like 2 slices of the steakum. Those steakum products you get in your freezer for like 20 years. You pull them out and you say, "Oh, I'm gonna have some steak from 20 years ago." Those are Gwyneth Paltrow's vagina lips.
This is why we don't get any advertising on this show. Man, you need to calm down.
All right, fine. I don't need to talk about it. You mentioned the worst scent. What is this? Binance is selling perfume? Is this the smell of getting wrecked? Why don't they just call it wrecked?
Yes.
Here, stash some of this under your ears and reek the smell of wrecked at Binance, the wrecking machine.
Well, that is exactly what I was describing, though, right now to you. I said, when you go into a casino in Vegas, it's almost impossible to find your way off the gambling floor, right? To get out of there, because they ply you with a free drink, a squirt of perfume, something to keep you on the gambling
It's
floor.
A psyop.
Exactly. Okay.
It absolutely is a psyop. Literally, they design the casinos. There's no windows. There's no clocks. There's no like big exit sign. They're designed in a labyrinth. They make the carpeting, if you ever in the casino look down, it'd be all these crazy colors to help you like get lost. And there's just lights and blank, so you don't know where you are, and it's almost impossible to find an exit door.
Yes.
And they pump oxygen into there, so you stay up later. Like, it's crazy. And then somewhere in the food court, there will be a Sbarro.
There'll be a Sbarro in the food court. Plus, a lot of casinos open right up into an IKEA. IKEA is designed the same way as a casino. It's a labyrinth. You can never escape. People go into IKEA to buy a bed, and they're 5 years later, they're still trying to find the exit. So in Sweden, they don't like gambling, drinking. They're very austere. They're very august. They like getting lost in a furniture shop. That's their idea of a good time.
What are you guys doing this weekend? Oh, we're going to get lost in a furniture shop. It's going to be fucking awesome. It's going to be a great weekend. And we're going to put on some crypto cologne. It's going to smell great.